gonna vaguely act like it just ended.
All right.
Not really.
Man, what a event, guys! Oh man.
Fresh off of that tiny build, that really was something.
All right, gamers, are you ready to recap, summarize, and otherwise shout out and share love on the Guerrilla Showcase?
I'm ready for love.
I'm ready to love, to learn how to love.
All right, so for the Guerrilla Collective, and this is gonna be the same thing for every showcase, we start out, put out the poll. Chat, what grade do you give the Guerrilla Showcase? And we will one by one give our little quick grade, summary of just overall thoughts, and then we'll get into some of our highlights from the event. So I will start off, and I'm gonna say that's a solid B+. It's a solid B+. Lots to like. Because there's so much, there are stretches where sometimes you are kind of like, tuned out a little bit just because it's something is genre, a style that you're just not that, into for whatever reason, and then when it got into the back half with the publisher showcase, there was a lot more of that where there was some really extended looks at some things that, either has been out, you already knew about, whatever it might be. But there's tons and tons of really interesting looking games, some surprise things that I just did not consider happening at all. One that I'm specifically thinking of, one you're probably for sure going to shout out when we get into our highlights. But I just really appreciate the diversity of approach into how Guerrilla Collective gets the developers to showcase their games. It's, CG trailer or, animated, trailers, it's gameplay trailers, it's full-on breakdowns. Good stuff. It's just good stuff. And again, it's so many indies that otherwise don't have that platform. And we'll bounce to the live on the scene.
What's the scene? Am I at Kind of Funny Studios?
Yes. Yeah.
Honestly, probably spot on with the grade, like a BB+, just because they're just the sheer amount of games. There's gonna be something for anyone there.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, like some of the things you just kind of tune out because it's not really your style or whatever. So, yeah. So like most of the stuff there, I'm like, oh, that's super interesting, blah blah. And there were some misses there where I was like, I don't really care about that. Or it's something we've seen before that's, just bringing it up, or there's an update, or there's a DLC coming, or here's a behind the scenes look. So overall, just a BB+. But it was overall good to me because I going through the list of all the notes that we have, I literally pulled out. I was like, I'm gonna pull out a few games I really want to shout out by the end of this. And I chose the ones I really liked and really wanted to shout out, and it still came out to 18 games that I'm like, I really want to play these. I mean, I want to make sure the devs get their props and everything, because I'm like, wow, I'm really invested in these games. But yeah, so overall, super great event, and it's just good to build hype for the week to come.
And yeah, what did the final? It was like 82, 80. It was more than that because I don't think we added Tiny Build to the.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
So there was over 90.
Yeah, over
probably 90 games showcased across the Guerrilla Collective, and then they had the publisher showcase after. Just so much.
I'm gonna give it just a straight B, I think. So for me, I also I was being much more selective than last year in what I was highlighting in what I actually would play and want to play, and it's definitely over a dozen or 15 or so for me too. And so yeah, there was a lot of good stuff, and I think they actually structured it pretty well with how they broke things out. It was kind of there were some categories that I was like, that's not really for me. I didn't really find anything in there. But then the ones that were categorized as things that I actually like,
it actually worked out. You're like, oh, I'm interested in all these.
The cozy and the narrative were both amazing, but there were also some interesting ones in the rest of them too. I think it dragged a little bit in the back half and like the publisher showcases.
Which
and
is
I was kind of disappointed too to see like some of the ones that they showed for a second time they didn't expand on.
right.
But then there were those really long ones they did expand on, and I was like, I kind of don't need that. But yeah.
Especially for games that have been out. You know,
Yeah.
there was a few of those where it's like games that have been out for a while. Here's like a long, extended look at this, you know, something that's been out there.
Exactly.
Another like symptom of there's just so much, right? Is we were talking about this, like you'll find this in some of the categories, right? Of like, we saw it. I was gonna say famously, but no, you know, it just happened where they're like, here's the horror block, and then there was 4 horror games, and then 2 randomly not horror games. They have so many games that it was gonna happen, right? Like where there's just like some games that are just kind of like, because there's 2 games that were in that horror block that were not horror, were kind of similar, and so it's like you could tell they kind of put them there to be like, okay, at least they're the same, you know, kind of style. And guess what? As we wrap up our grades, chat agrees. Winning with 100% of the vote is B, for the chat as well. And you know, B's get to no C's get degrees is the phrase.
Yeah.
No, but it really
These also get degrees.
Yeah.
Guerrilla Collective. It was a great opener,
Yeah.
right? For this week of ridiculous reveals. Every year I come away with the same thought from these week-long showcases, and that's indies are ruling supreme over the industry, and like I just need the rest of the gamers to catch up to that. You know what I mean? A lot of people will come away from a week like this and be like, I'm disappointed because I didn't get to see, you know, Last of Us multiplayer. I hate this. Games are bad. And it's like, bro, there was so much going on, and it's all so good. And really, it's primarily because of the indies, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, great opener. It's it's honestly the perfect opener, right? Where Keely's show that's coming is gonna be bombastic, big, you know, stage changes around him. Smoke comes in. Here's Kojima, and he walks down giant steps. You know what I mean? But and then, you know, and then that inevitably leads to like that up and down feeling of like, am I disappointed or not? But this just being like, here's 90 games. You're gonna find something you're gonna be interested in, and we all said, yeah, we found like 15 plus each. You know, like it's a great showcase of what indies can do.
Yeah. 15 plus each, and a lot of them probably don't overlap. Too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But now let's hop into our highlights. There's so much to cover. I'll let you two, honestly, I think mine will overlap with both of you. So like, I'll just let
Some
you
of
two
them,
ping
yeah.
pong back and forth. Start with Julie. Just hit me with your first highlight. I'll try to find it here in the video. Yeah, again,
how many am
like a
I?
3-hour
How many am
event.
I getting?
We're just gonna, you know, as many as you want.
I mean, let's see. What do I want to start with? I'm gonna start with Crypt Custodian, actually,
Okay.
from Action Games.
That was towards the
Action
end,
Games
right?
block, yeah, it was like the
There it
last
is.
one.
Let me turn these down too. Now that we're doing our little recap, we'll just talk over it. And then, yeah, the way this will work, name the game, then we can all talk about it. You know, whoever brings it up can start the conversation. But yeah, tell us about Crypt Custodians.
It was, I mean, obviously it's so very cute. I die. But it was giving me vibes of like a lot of different games that I love, a little bit like Spiritfarer with like the afterlife and interacting with ghosts kind of thing. What we saw of the writing seemed like it was, you know, pretty clever and like it's gonna be a good story.
Yeah, there's the frog that says, in frog culture, dying is the worst thing that can happen, or something like.
Yeah. A little bit vibes of Cat Quest, which I love. It's just like a chill little experience. But yeah, it just surprised me. A little bit of Death's Door, I think you said too.
Yeah, it definitely has that like actiony, you know, dodge roll and attack, and but it's like a little more low key, in a nice way. But there's as you see here, lots going on,
Yeah,
right?
some
Like
complexity there.
we were, I think it was Oscar who like, and I was the same way when they actually, this sequence back here, yeah, they show the map and you're like, oh my god, like
Huge.
Mhm.
there's a lot going on here, and this
Yeah.
is like one area. It feels like, you
It's
know,
wild.
yeah, just really like the aesthetic, just really cutesy.
Yeah,
And
very like cutesy, like almost dreamy, like you know, like a Hollow Knight or something, where everything's kind of just floaty, and you know, you're obviously because you're in the afterlife and all that. But just kind of that super cute, and just from what I was seeing from like the combat we're seeing right now and the gameplay, it still looks like you still have all your puzzles, all your ways that you can play differently from, you know, first run to your second run or whatever you want to do. But it looks very interesting and very deep and in depth with. It's not just, you know, it's just another Metroidvania.
Yeah.
It looks very much like a big game to look out for.
And the other thing, yeah, as I called out early on, and then it turned out to be called Crypt Custodian, just the setup, right? Of you are literally a cat who is going around, quote unquote, cleaning up the afterlife, and just like, it's just fun little, you know. I really love to, especially during this time. I think the key for any developer showcasing a game is to have that great elevator pitch, you know? And so like the idea, you're a cat, you're literally cleaning up the afterlife, and you know, you're dodge rolling, you're doing the action adventure kind of thing. Like just a great great hook.
Mm-hmm.
The one bummer, coming 2024. Come on.
Yeah,
I want it
next year.
today.
We're halfway through 2023, gamer.
It is. Fish, what is first on your highlight list?
First, I'll throw you something in the middle, just because
Okay.
I feel like I feel like we're gonna have a lot of overlapping in the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's do Toads of the Bayou.
Toads of the
One of
Bayou.
my first note on there was Frog Gear Acid. Just because it's got the deck builder, but you're also, you know, doing some combat and doing, you know, the strategy and planning in your battles, and this very good art style that's, you know, super reminiscent of like art, you know, from, you know, southern, very like almost realistic, but very, you know, fantasy-esque, and it just looked super interesting to and diverse with how you play the game. You know, you have different types of frogs you can use in combat that all seem to have like different things going on. And yeah, it just looked like a super great thing if you're into those kinds of deck builders plus tactics games. Like I know I am. Yeah, like see, like the art is really nice. Very, you know, contrasting art from the art on the cards to the art in the game, and it all looks like, you know, also city building as well. It looks like there. It just looks like a great time.
Yeah, I love the kind of I'm trying to think of like the aesthetic, right? It's very like, I mean, it's the kind of the bayou aesthetic, right? Of like
Mhm.
kind of like, you know, smoking on the pipe and your nice little vest, and you're, you know, in the swamplands, but you're kind of proper, and you know,
And the like showmanship of the gun.
yeah.
Yeah, very
yeah.
bombastic, like shooting at the gun.
Tactically lead your toads is a great. Just give me any game that presents itself that way. Sign me up. Yeah, I'm really interested. I love the blending of the, you know, tactical grid based stuff, but then the deck building, like you said, like that's a fun. More and more you're seeing that, and I feel like there was like 6 games in this actually that had that kind of style, and it's really cool. And then, yeah, like give me a toad dressed up nicely in a little proper prim proper suit, and I'm on board.
And I actually marked this one down too, and as you know, I don't play games like this, but I can see myself hopping in to try it. So.
Give it a try. Yeah, it's when a game, that's honestly the gateway right into a new genre. Is literally just an aesthetic, you know, whatever it is that's intriguing to you in a genre you haven't played before, and next thing you know, like you're eating that whole genre up and trying new things. And Toads of the Bayou really pulling that off. I like the whole kind of like revolutionary era kind of aesthetic, and
Mhm.
the muskets and the cannons and just swords on the battlefield is like, you know, like that's
Yeah.
it's swords and guns in that kind of era is a
And
really
what's nice about it too is that they didn't try to make it like a. It's still kind of silly because they're frogs. Like there's another game that does that. I think it was of Mice and Men or something, where you can still have like super gritty, dramatic thing, you
right.
know,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
animals like this.
yeah.
It may not be, you know, it doesn't have to only be with humans because you can relate to that more, but just like the fact that you can bring that sort of emotion or that sort of picture and still have, you know, frogs as the
Yeah, yeah.
as the medium there. So
It's
super great on them.
it doesn't like hide from the darkness of what it's
Yeah.
pulling off here too.
Mhm.
I actually I'll have one because I just saw it while I was trying to scroll through, and I just want to make sure it gets shouted out because it was something that really spoke to me. Right here.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, I
What's
know
the name of
exactly
it?
where you're
What's the
I
name
was
of
going.
it?
gonna send you there.
Corpo Nation.
No, not that
No,
one yet.
Oh.
Leximan.
Leximan.
Oh, Leximan. That was on my list too.
So there we go. Perfect. Everyone's got this one. This one looks really interesting. You're a little magician man, a little wizard man, and you cast your spells using language. And it feels like maybe you build out a library of like pieces of words. As you see here, you put out the word frost. Oh no, you put out the word fromage, and you throw a cheese block at someone. It just has that kind of Undertale, you know, one shot, that unique kind of goofy charm to it. You know, in this, you know, you're casting a hat. Yeah, it's just like it has that like meta goofiness. And just the idea of like experimenting with this system, I'm like so curious how deep it can go, because there are times where it is just you're putting together the words using that, but then there are times where it's just a keyboard. So how far can I type whatever in the game? Obviously it'll have a dictionary that it pulls from, but like even then, how far does it go?
Yeah.
Like this, you know, monochrome aesthetic. It's just silly in all the right ways. Yeah, I don't. How's everyone else feel about this one?
I mean, same from me. It's like, like I think I mentioned this when we were watching it initially. It's like a Scribblenauts RPG. Like, just because for me, even though Scribblenauts is a super silly game, I like that it gave you the freedom to almost any word you can think of to solve a puzzle.
Yeah.
It'll put that in the game for you, and that's where I think that this game could either, you know, soar really high or kind of fall flat if like they don't have a very small dictionary of words you can use. So you type in, for like one of the scenes I saw here, you know, it was just like boards up against the wall that's blocking you, and they typed fire to burn up the boards. Like what if you type crowbar? You know, will a crowbar appear? Or like,
Yeah.
a hammer so you can take the nails out or whatever it is. So as long as they have a good dictionary going in the game, and you really have the freedom to solve puzzles and fights the way that you want to, or the way you deem funny or silly or serious, I feel like this game is going to be a hit just because it's the amount of interactions you can have, which is with the characters. Like I know it was part of scripted bit, but at the beginning there where it's like you type fromage instead of frost. So I wonder, kind of like that Undertale-y kind of meta thing where it'd be like, you really casted this, like, really holds up in the actual release.
I also like the idea of like that one spell they cast sesame, and it's like you think like, oh, maybe it's like open sesame, it's gonna do that, and then it's sesame seeds, like the game fucking with you back as you're trying to like, I'm gonna do this weird spell, and it's like, oh yeah, well, monkey paw, you it's not what you thought.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have that much else to add, but pretty much all of that, and like it just, like, a lot of games that I play, they get clever with like the story and the writing, but to actually like get really clever and playful with the gameplay is like, can just really make a game, and it looks fun.
I love the ending of punting.
You punt fish.
I'm trying to like, let's see, what else could you do here, right? Because it does feel like sometimes it will be like
Destruct, destroy,
Yeah,
explode.
only so many things you can do, right?
Yeah.
But again, like, curious how limiting and how but then also at other times how full, it's gonna be interesting to see. That's still a ways away. That is also a 2024 game, but a great instant appeal. Yeah, Glory's saying love language games, and that is something that is surprisingly all throughout this event was language games. But Julie, what is your next highlight?
I'm still looking. Let's go Grifford Academy.
Yes, that was
It was
right.
in
around
indie
here, too.
RPGs before Toads of the Bayou.
It's the when especially as these events have just gone live, right? It's kind of hard to. It was in here. Kind of hard to skip through these, wasn't it?
It's
later.
well after Demon School.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a massive world.
All right. Grifford Academy.
Grifford Academy looks pretty cool. It like didn't really explain what's happening, but it kind of gives the vibe of like you get sucked into like you're just regular kids, you get sucked into like some sort of fantastical world. Obviously, I love that sort of thing with like Owl House and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it gives me that sort of vibe. I love a good like magic thing and like games like
Designs are
Grounded. Yeah, it looks really beautiful, and I like the sort of fantastical world that it's set up. And it's just a good trailer, like just the flow of it. It was a good introduction to it.
Yeah, as it just showed here, I'm curious about the like interpersonal traits,
Yeah,
right?
the
Of like
traits.
self-assured, attentive, like how those manifest. It's probably via those choices that you make, as characters, you can kind of guide how they feel about what's going on. Yeah, it's interesting because I at first was thinking it's kind of like as I said, it's a genre in anime isekai of like you get sucked into some world you don't understand and trying to make the best of it while you're in there and like. But the characters and some of the dialogue here kind of talk to them with familiarity, so I'm curious like how long they've been there, and it's just an interesting setup, and really love the giant map, and love the kind of old school RPG perspective in the fights of the line of enemies and then your line of team back here. Just looks nice. It looks simple and straightforward in a way that like. Again, like you said with Toads of the Bayou, right? Like it's not a genre that you've played a ton of, but like it feels like approachable in a way that like again could help you open that door,
Exactly.
And again, yeah, any replacements for the magical school that we may have liked one time in our lives and now hate with a passion.
Yeah.
Replacements for that. Always on board for. So even that aspect of the academy, right? Like what's that? That's not really explored that much in here, but they're clearly like school kids, and so I'm curious to see what goes on with that. And yeah, Fish, any?
Yeah. No, yeah, like you guys have pretty much said it all. Like I enjoy RPGs and all that stuff. But the great thing that Nathan touched on there is the like interpersonal traits and all that stuff. Because I hope with a game like this, like it unlocks like new abilities in conversation or in combat, where like maybe something happens in a bit of combat and the person's not sure of them, like that self-assured one, like they're not sure of themselves, so they don't want to do anything, and they and something bad happens or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or someone gets an attentive trait, and like while you're traveling through the world, you're like, oh, so and so notices this out of the corner of their eye. Do you want to investigate or do you want to do this? Blah blah. Those sorts of choices that come with those things that you develop with these relationship with with these people. And as you said at the end there, we didn't really get to touch on the academy part of this, because like, what if it's not, we got sucked into the world and we went there on purpose? Like our whole bit
Right.
of the academy is that we go into these books or we go into these these places
That'd be
that we don't know.
Yeah.
And then maybe we just saw a fraction of what the actual gameplay is, because maybe this world is just a small slice of what we're doing, and you're hopping into different worlds instead of just this one. So yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of this.
Yeah, that'd be a really interesting, like maybe they're familiar with you because kids always come through here, right? Like
Mhm.
there's always the Griffith. Oh, you must be the newest Griffith Academy kids, you know, and
Yeah,
like
really.
they're not the idea of seeing a kid with a hockey stick isn't weird to these like fantasy people anymore because it's just been happening. Yeah, that's a interesting perspective I didn't consider. Yeah, I am all we are in agreement. This is one to watch. Just yeah, also just the style of the character design. It's just I can't. It's one of those things where it's like clearly reminding me of something, but I can't quite place it. You know, kind of vaguely like that. There's the new Nimona Netflix movie coming out. Kind of has that little less that colorful, you know, Spider-Verse-y kind of style and more a little grittier, a little grounded, more grounded. But yeah, I'm intrigued. All right, that's back to Fish.
One that I was, you know, was chuckling a bit through the whole thing was Little Guardsman.
Yeah.
I was excited for that one.
Can you hit me with the placement on that one, Julie?
Yes, yes, yes.
I
That
found
was the first one in narrative story.
I fell right into it right as.
Dang it.
Nice.
I was trying to help.
All right, Little Guardsman.
Yeah. This was basically a sillier, you know, looks like a little bit more in depth Papers, Please. We have a lot of, you know, interesting characters. You're letting these people through the gates of your kingdom, whatever this is, you know, town. You know, you're the guard at the toll gate, basically, or the guard shack, deciding whether they get accepted into the kingdom, denied, or they go straight to jail. You know, if they cook the chicken too long, undercook the chicken, and straight to jail. But it looks like there's like different like laws that get passed in the city. So, you know, like one of the lines there was like, oh, the prince gets kidnapped once, and now goblins aren't allowed into the city. So it looks like you're going to be dealing with a lot of, you know, compounding laws that you have to take into consideration when looking at someone and analyzing whether they're allowed into the city or going to jail or being denied. The voice acting all seemed really great, you know, very clever, very funny, almost a little bit meta, just with some of the tropes and stuff, but it all looked super interesting, you know, playing as the daughter of the actual guard, so you're kind of just like, I don't know what I'm doing, don't really care what happens, but you know, I'm just gonna roll with it, as well as like these mini games where you can you know, illegally bet in you know, the underground there, you know, upgrading. I don't know what that card system was like, of upgrading people, but looks like you're getting more tools, upgrading your booth there, just to make your job a little bit easier or a little bit more fun while you're in the guard check there. But yeah, something super fun to probably lose an hour or two a day, just like hopping in, like, oh, let me see what's going on in the guard check today. But yeah, it's coming this summer, which is going to be great. The demo's now on Steam. I'll probably download it after this and try it out. But yeah, it looks super fun and super funny.
Yeah, I'm really curious. One of the things, so that, you know, you talked about Papers, Please. Like, this has kind of become a little genre of, like, you know, the game I'll probably bring up later. You know, Corpo Nation kind of has the same thing of, like, you fall into a routine. But one of the things I really like is, like, the ability to break yourself out of that routine in whatever way. Like, you know, like sometimes, like that was in Papers, Please as well, where it's like a character comes up and they're like really need to get into the city or whatever for whatever reason, but they clearly are breaking the law, and you know, it's that idea of like, okay, do I look the other way, and what does that do to me if I do look the other way? Like, does that hurt my thing? You know. So that's a angle I hope they explore here. I think it feels like they're going to, right? Because like as Oscar was saying, like the character doesn't really care about their job, and like that ending. There's that sequence where like there's like a person behind a curtain while someone's talking about the new laws or whatever. So like clearly there's some kind of conspiracy maybe you're unraveling. And yeah, I also just want to shout out the it's almost like Papers, Please by way of a cool Cartoon Network cartoon, you know, a modern, that Cal Arts kind of like style that I like. I know it's like one of those talked about things like, do we like it, do we not like it? I like it. So I'm on board for any of these kind of routine-based games.
I don't want to be rude, but you
And
seem
yeah, the writing is
pretty baked.
really great.
Absolutely.
This is my favorite part of the whole thing, where she sees this super high-ass wizard. Says, "I think you're pretty baked," and he's like, "Yep, I sure am."
I know. In watching it again, I just noticed the little like pot leaf in his cap.
Oh yeah, oh my god.
I don't know if I'm reading into it, but when I first watched it, like in like the gambling part, the betting, almost made it sound like, you know, like you said, your character doesn't really care, but also like you're trying to just earn gold, like to spend at that shop that they show next. Like, so it sounds like you, I don't know, might even be able to take like bribes, or, you know, like
yeah.
play sort of like
I'm
that,
sure.
that corrupt, like do whatever is good for your meeting your ends meet, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's just kind of fun too.
Yeah, Evan, the demo is out today, and I think it's coming out full in August, so it is not far away.
Yeah.
So that's
I'd
exciting.
like to check that one out.
Yeah, just all around intrigued by that one.
Nice.
I guess to follow the theme, and it's got to be nearby this, right?
Which
my
one?
my Corpo Nation,
That
or was it actually way
was
earlier?
earlier in the like card-ish block.
The card block.
We had so many like blocks.
It was near Dawn Duality, Kingdom 80s.
That was that really?
Yeah.
God, there was so much in this event.
Yeah.
There's
But
so
that
many
felt
games.
like, oh man, we're pretty deep in, and this is a cool one.
It was Crashlands block.
Crashed Lands.
Okay, where was where? It's a hard event to sort through. Okay, I'm at Hammer. I'm at the arcade game.
It's after Hammer.
I'm at Anton
No, is
Blast.
it? Yeah. After Anton Blast. It's after the horror block,
Okay.
after Demon School block.
Oh, okay.
Near Nova Lands, Jump Play Odyssey, Dawn Duality.
Yeah.
So it was not as early. Crashlands, Yomi. It was towards the end
Yeah.
of this block, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. It was right before Kingdom.
Here we go. Yeah, so as we were talking about, again, that routine based kind of game, that game where you are doing some kind of menial task and you have to remember rules, right? Like you have to, okay, this it looks like these are sorting like DNA samples, and you're putting them in certain things, and it's based on, I'm assuming, the pattern on these packaging, I think. And you know, you have to like memorize all these weird little details. Okay, this thing goes in there, that thing goes in there. But then it's those little things that they do outside of the work, right? You come back home and you do you can play, there's like a game on your computer that you can play. You can take surveys, you can take other side jobs to do stuff, you know. It obviously brings up Papers, Please, as we talked about, but there's another game that I've fallen into that I really like recently called Do Not Feed the Monkeys, I think is what it's called. And it's a game where you're monitoring like 10 different camera feeds at once, and you're supposed to like try to identify information about each camera feed and like earn money to unlock more camera feeds, and you want to like keep adding on, layering on more complications onto this, you know, again, simple task, to where by the end it's like at the beginning you're like, oh my god, how am I going to keep up? But then at the end you're like, okay, alpha, beta, delta, zeta, easy, put this in the machine, do that, you know. And you just feel that, again, as they talked about, feeling that satisfying, like a feeling of a job well done, you know, of like a day's work. It's just really cool, and I love the monochrome blue kind of pixel aesthetic they've got here.
Yeah, don't play this game at night. You'll
Matrix
never
stuff.
sleep.
Hell yeah. And then yeah, as Fern said, from some other, oh, there's Solitaire.
Oh no. Nate's never gonna leave the game because he's not even playing the game. He's playing solitaire.
He's gonna play solitaire in this game, be like, okay, job well done, click out. Now I'm gonna play my regular real world solitaire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I am 100% on board for this. And then, yeah, eventually there is a storyline, it seems, of rebelling against the system, you know, doing some shady stuff, trying to get away with that shady stuff, I'm sure, you know, as the corpse, you know, bear down on you. Nate's about to become the game. It truly am. Yeah, I'm all on board with this. So I assume you know, y'all will just go, yeah, you're a little freak there, Nate, but
You are a little freak.
You're a little freak. No, it looks interesting. I'm as much as I love the the those routine type games. I'm more interested in the story of this to see how you break out of that routine and see what's really going on, because obviously it's something devious with the Corpo nation with the corpse there. Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. So this is definitely a game that I'd watch.
oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm just seeing here too. Yeah, they said we're Ash, right? Or we're someone else, but it looks like you can communicate with like other employees. And
Yeah,
so,
they showed a
like,
couple of like little texting screens.
so that's
Seems like you're talking
interesting.
to
Of
some
like,
people.
yeah, here we go. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Weird
Slowly.
emails.
Yeah, you don't feel alone either, but you're in this like cornered off room or whatever. Yeah, super on board. Anything you want to toss in there or?
Just like I was saying earlier, like it does kind of give me Severance vibes too. with,
Yeah.
like, they mentioned that like your boss is gonna like change the rules on you and like add complexities and stuff like that. So I feel like maybe you're trying to figure out, like what
Exactly
is this
what's
work
happening.
that I'm actually
Yeah.
doing that's so like abstract. So I think there'll be some interesting like story elements maybe to it.
And even in that little like live action opener, right? Like the boss tells you don't question the samples, and then that emphasis that gets glitched out, question the samples. So
I'm always questioning the samples.
yeah, for sure. The Severance. I'm glad I got that back out of you, because I 100% agree. And Severance is a killer show, and a video game equivalent. Let's go. Let's freaking go.
Very intrigued.
Alrighty, back to you.
Back to me. Shoot. Death Trick Double Blind.
That's right.
Yeah, it's on my list too.
So before or after?
Showstopper. It is after.
After,
Two sections later. And it's after Little Guardsman, after the like Disney looking one by Sweet Carol.
Disney looking one.
Here it is. It's one of those longer ones. Hi, Jenny and Mari. We're back because we
Hello
really like your
again.
game.
Art, and I'm in charge of double purpose.
Okay.
In this game, players will have to solve the mysterious murder.
I mean,
of the star
I
magician
don't even
before
know
the
what to say about
purpose
this one.
can
This
be
one just
found
like
by the end of the
came
game.
out of nowhere for me.
All the evidence
I
and
haven't heard of it
evidence
before. I don't know.
as
Did you
you
say
can
you'd seen
Yeah,
this?
I have the demo downloaded.
Okay. Well, I hadn't heard of this one before, so it was like out of left field. It just looks amazing. Like the character design
Beautiful.
is killer. And
You know what it is?
What?
Even just the animation, it's vaguely got that Danganronpa kind of like, like where you're in this situation where someone's died and you're talking to these
Yeah.
people and you just don't know who to trust, and they're all kind of like, again, like we got an occult little kid looking in crystal balls, you got a clown, you got,
Yeah. I just love a game with all kinds of like real characters, Everybody's a little freak and I love it. And it also was interesting because you're gonna be switching between two
Right.
different characters as
With-
you're like trying to solve this murder.
with very different motives.
Yeah.
Because it's the detective,
Uh-huh.
and then it's the magician replacing
Yeah.
the old magician.
So who probably wants to stay in the job.
Yeah.
So with every information,
yeah,
or
just
item
very
you
interesting,
collected,
very,
you can use
very
them
beautiful.
either to
And I
inspire
love
or
a
to
mystery.
What I love about
I
this
love to solve a
mechanic is the
murder. It just looks
non-linearity of
awesome.
it.
Yeah,
The story
they just showed that
starts off you
contradiction
after
system.
Yeah.
It's very
the
Phoenix
topic,
Wright as
so you're
well.
free to spot your own contradiction.
And it what was
And
the thing I was
you
gonna
can
say?
take what
There
you
was a
have
thing.
asked
Oh,
to
it's one of those games that has,
and you
again,
can
like I was
always
talking
get
about,
a
one of
unique
those great
response. So each journey will be
hooks,
very
one of those great
different.
one-line hooks where they say, "Hey,
The
you're
story moves
a
forward
detective
based on
investigating a
the
murder at a
So, for
circus."
example,
You know, like, okay, well, sign me up, you know. And
So once your AP runs
yeah,
out,
I think this
turn
was
will
another
end
thing
and
that
you will switch characters
I really like is they're talking about it here, the non-linear approach, where you have kind of, it's turn-based in a way, where you have only 5 action points, and that aligns probably with the time of day and how much things you can get done in that time of day, and how that aligns with, you know, what you discover, and ultimately how you know, are able to solve this mystery, if you are. Just really cool system that's a little more gamey in a almost feels like a board game, or like, you know, something like that, in a narrative mystery kind of detective experience that you don't always get, which is really cool.
And they were talking about like how it matters, you know, like when you say something to someone too, like maybe you have like an object you need to show them, but like if you show it to them early, they're gonna be like defensive about it, or you know, you're just not gonna catch them in something. So I just think that's really interesting too. I love those kinds of games where you have to like look for the discrepancies and catch someone in something. So
Yeah, Evan was big. The 2 big games for Evan in this event were Corpo Nation and Death Trick here, so Evan's thriving right now as we talk about these.
nice.
Oscar, anything to add? Or we cover the bases?
I mean, you guys pretty much covered everything. You know, Nate and I, huge Phoenix Wrights fans. You know, I love, like Julie was saying, finding those discrepancies and being able to be like, I got you, buddy, and solving that mystery. And what makes it for me, like, not only is the art and the story great and stuff, is having that replayability. Is like, you may not solve everything you want to solve in those 5 action points for that day or for that turn or whatever it is. And you may miss something, or you may not find out that someone's actually involved with this, and you know, and you miss catching them too, and you just catch the murderer, the kidnapper. But yeah, it's having that gamey feel to it, where it's like, oh, you know, I really got to plan my options and plan my choices, because I may miss something now, you know, and then if you do end up missing them, you're like, oh, okay, now I get to go back and do it all again, see, you know, I can change something. So yeah, this is going to be super exciting to play out and just you know, catch someone in a lie, because who doesn't like doing that?
Yeah.
I like the idea too of like going in for a second playthrough, right? And like knowing certain things, you're like, okay, I know I don't even have to bother with that. That's a bullshit, you know, red herring. So let me focus over here, and then maybe uncovering like a whole, like Oscar was saying, a whole other storyline, a whole other like motive, you're like, whoa, what's going on actually behind the scenes here? Really good.
I can, it just immediately puts in my mind I don't know if you guys know that little Easter egg from American Psycho, where Willem Dafoe, the detective, they filmed a scene where he thinks he knows Bateman's the killer. He knows Bateman's the killer, and one where he doesn't know Bateman's the killer, and it
like,
kind of switches up the scenes, kind of things, so you don't even know yourself. But it's just your 3 playthroughs of Double Trick. There's like, you know who the killer is in the story, you don't know, and you kind of know a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. The aesthetic alone, on board for. Good film. Ben popping in.
Ben, yeah.
Good movie.
A little film buff popping in.
But yeah, definitely one to watch for sure.
Yeah.
I'll say here, just to spare us from having to go through 20 games, we'll do Oscar again with one more loop, and then we'll cut it from there.
That's fair. I'm pretty much at the end of mine too. So the other thing I was just gonna say about this is like, just specifically watching it with the 3 of us, like I was feeling like giddy about it. Like it just feels like that kind of game that we would play, like telling lies and, you know, her story and stuff like that, just like piecing all these little details together, and like that fun little work that you can do with your friends. It's just exciting.
Love unraveling a little mystery.
I love to
with
unravel a
some pal.
mystery with my friends.
All right. So fish. You're not your final, but your
No,
penultimate.
not my final save. That's one you guys probably already know. That's like just for me. But let's see. One that we probably all might enjoy is Blood West.
Yeah,
West,
that's on my list.
Blood West. This one's interesting because, and maybe I'll do that as well. Is this trailer is purely like a animation.
Yeah, purely story, no gameplay.
As I found out afterwards, this game's out in early access. So maybe I'll try to find some gameplay as you talk about it here.
Nice.
Yeah, so Blood West seems to be a pretty spooky Western set. Looks like, after some sort of outbreak or some sort of, curse, something with some sort of monster has been let loose on this Western, town. And it's up to us to find out what's going on and kind of figure. It looks like he plays two different characters. Looks like a Native American indigenous to the area there, and some sort of actual cowboy. We see at the end of the trailer there, he's putting like the paint over his eyes as he's dragging someone else. Looks like we're gonna have like two sides of that coin there, of like maybe the indigenous person, the Native American, knows what's going on, and we gotta stop it. And the Western's just like, I'm just trying to figure it out and get out, brother. Yeah, I'm just trying to survive. And then the other characters like, we gotta stop this, or else it's gonna get worse. And we're kind of dragged into it. But the overall art style of this looks really great, reminiscent of comics. And just overall looks super interesting, just from the small snippet of just the story and kind of the animation we saw here. And I think it's coming out this year. Oh no, you said it's an early access already, right?
Yeah, so in full release is coming this year. As Glory says, all right, this is the one with Skull Titty Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Here,
We got a. Go ahead. Oh, December 2023.
Yeah, let me see if I can find some gameplay, because I am curious. It says a stealth horror shooter,
Which are all things that I enjoy.
So let's see. Open world. Okay, full game. This is the early access. No commentary. Let's see.
We love a no commentary.
Bald Man
The Bald
YouTube.
Man.
Shout out.
Shout out Bald Man YouTube. Bro, I'm right here.
You made it.
Always knew you had a secret alias.
Okay, there's a full on like skill tree.
Okay, like RPG.
Okay, first person. Oh, it's got kind of a the in-game art style is kind of, again, this is the early access. This could be literally the day it came out, early access, so it might have been enhanced from here. But it has that kind of like pixel
PSX.
Yeah. Pixely textures, chunky pixels. Also
I like that inventory
that's
screen.
what I'm saying. It's giving it's giving immersive sim. It's it's Deus Ex. It's it's so that's an interesting kind of angle on it. And then I wonder how big this open world is, because it looks like you're just kind of wandering, and finding what you can find, avoiding monsters while you go, and like trying to gear up, as you go. Yeah, intrigued. And again, this is in early access right now, so you can hop in and see what they've got in the current build before it comes out later this year in December. Little sad that the style of that beautiful animation is not fully represented here, but I like the style that is here too. So win some, you lose some.
Yeah, it'd be nice if if this is really a story-driven game, like the cutscenes were like an animation style.
Yeah,
that'd be like really nice.
But yeah, that is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is just 5 months ago. So yeah, it is still, or it's been out just for a bit. Oh, and yeah. Okay, so that's what that trailer, that the guy, with the paint, you are brought back to life by the indigenous character. Maybe it's one of those like, fucking hate you, but you're good at fucking killing things, and I need you. Like, we need you.
I hate you, but that smile, that damn smile.
So yeah, that's a fun little life debt kind of storyline, maybe. Here, let me just think of my one, and this will be my last one, and we'll just do two for you two to end it. Let me just scroll through, honestly.
You want Dawn duality?
Well, here, are you gonna? Because I will talk about it if you don't. Are you gonna do what I think you're gonna do as your final?
What do you want me to do, like?
Well, you don't have to. I'm saying if you don't, I will, because it deserves to be talked about.
I'll talk about it. Can I do a couple of shout outs if I do that? 'Cause
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still trying to decide which one I wanted to go to last.
Okay, then
There's
if you're
still a
gonna do
few,
that, then
But I'll do like.
Here, you know what? I this one really did catch my eye, and I wasn't able to like pay it focus on as much. Where'd it go? I keep skipping over it. I think
Which one you looking for?
it's here. It's here. Not Outpost. We will have an article about this up on the site soon, so check that out. By the end of the day, probably.
Oh no, they're hot.
Videogamesgood.com.
As always, a space outpost kind of space frontier kind of vibe, vaguely westerny, vaguely so Firefly-ish if you want to go there. But the one I want to talk about that is brand new to me was Echoes of the Plum Grove.
Good pick.
A kind of interesting, kind of that was the other thing about it. The aesthetic is kind of colonial in a way. In a way I wasn't expecting.
Pilgrim.
Yeah, like you're like, I mean, Luna Macbeth. Like it's just a different. Again, a different kind of aesthetic for the genre, a different kind of setting, which is what I think the farming and life sim genre needs to do more of, because it gets a little samey at times, and so like to differentiate yourself in that way is nice. The thing they really hone in on here is the legacy building. You giving birth to kids, seeing them grow up, potentially playing. It says play on through your legacy, so presumably playing as your children as you go, as you see this community build up from nothing, presumably up to a full growing town. Yeah, it's an interesting, it's all the stuff we're familiar with the farming and life sims, making up your little garden, selling stuff in the stores. But here's the thing we wanted to point out that caught our eye, which is when you interact with people, the second option is insult. And so we were talking about it when it was first showing, is like, people, when the newest Animal Crossing came out, right? They felt like it went too wholesome, because in the old Animal Crossings, like, some of those villagers were just kind of a dick. They're like, hey, what are you doing? I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. And then you walk away, and you're like, what the hell? And so, like, the newest ones that kind of lean too much in the wholesome, and everyone's just kind of nice and sweet. Seems like this game is open to the idea of you having contentious relationships with the different people in your community. And that's an already really intriguing, approach to what is, again, ultimately looking like a pretty wholesome and sweet experience where you're creating the legacy, which then brings up an interesting potential gameplay aspect, which is, can you like have a family like lineage of hate towards one other family? You know what I mean?
That would be amazing.
Where like you're like Grandma Luna told me you're an asshole. Like, I don't like you. We don't hang out with the McBells. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really interesting potential there. And just a different take on the community building thing, where, some people you just don't like, and that's fine. And so, like, I would love the idea. Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 had that as well. Like, yeah, you could be, and that played into the morality gameplay, actually. You could greet people nicely, like, how you doing? Have a nice morning. Or you could be like, what the fuck are you looking at? And that was kind of the two approaches. So, and that's what I was kind of gonna go into is, we know in games like this, you usually build up hearts with people as you talk to them, and you build up relationship. It'd be great, yeah, if you build like broken hearts with people as you insult them, and build up that rivalry, or that, like I said, that would be an interesting, different take. And it's just so strange that that's when no other part of the game seems to hint at that, right? In this trailer, the idea that insult is there, and it's just left there for us to see and catch if you catch it, you know.
I have an interesting idea for a gameplay mechanic that I feel like would work well in a game like this, where if you have that, like, say, like, you know, you have the red hearts for being friendly or, you know, nice to someone, and then you have like black hearts for, like, you know, I hate them a little bit.
Yeah.
And having those go up, you know, simultaneously to the point where you have like a rivalry with someone else in the city, where like, I'm gonna grow more crops than you, you gain like a stat buff. So it's like your hatred for this person to do better than them gives you a stat buff. So something like that, where, you know, it's, you can insult them and be nice to everyone, and you're like, oh, everyone's, you know, copacetic and, you know, just hanging out, and you can just have like that one person in town, you're just like, man, just get out of here.
Or even better, right? Maybe it's not like hearts, negative hearts, right? It's, they can be separate. So you can like still give people gifts. And so you can have that rival, but then maybe over time you've like been nice to them. Enemies to lovers. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm just, look, this is all free material
devs.
for you.
I was about to
For
say,
free.
devs, this one's on us.
You can have that. But no, yeah. Oh, it was just again, I love the modern kind of mixing up the farming sim, trying new things with the farming sim, not just the, you came into town because your grandpa and gave you this farm, you know. Like,
But I mean, this is the era for it.
oh yeah,
Inheriting land.
oh yeah. It is
Start
so
building that generational wealth, you know what I'm saying?
This is
I-
where wealth
I have-
and equity started, bro.
when they talk about, you know, the legacies and the I'm curious how far that, like, can you go into like,
The Industrial Revolution.
yeah, like hundreds, like how far does that go, you know?
Yeah.
I'd be curious, but yeah, Echoes of the Plum Grove, really intriguing little farming sim here, and this style too, just a simple, again, one of those things where it's like there's something it's reminding me of. I mean, it's, they kind of have the Mickey like classic eyes, you know, that Betty Boop kind of eyes, but like there's something else about it. I can't quite get there, but yeah, great little farm sim.
One thing that stood out to me in the trailer too was, you know, you were talking about the generational thing, and it shows that clip of like inside a classroom. And so I'm like, is that like part of the gameplay where like if you are playing from a kid up, like you actually get to like go to school and stuff? Like that's just, you know, a type of gameplay you haven't seen in other farming sims or games like this. So
Even this I really like too, right? The person has a set amount of money, because in the, you know, like there are, you know, in other farming sims you could just buy, like sell all your stuff to someone and they give you millions of dollars and you're like, my god, how rich were you actually, you know? But here it's like, no, we only have a set amount of resources amongst us all, and
Right.
like over time we can get more money or whatever. But like that's an interesting
yeah, I like that.
angle too.
Good observation.
And just touching on that that school thing too, with like the generations, is that maybe like grandpappy was really good at farming, and you know the son goes to school, you learn a different set of skills, so now, you know, the child is now better at the finance side of things or something. Or you know public speaking, so they're better at speaking with the people in the town, so they get better discounts on stuff. And just, I mean, if that's a part of the gameplay mechanics with the generational thing, that'd be really cool, just to, you know, venture out into different skill sets, being like, oh, I like farming in the game, so that's probably the only thing I'm going to be doing, just because I'm going to build that stat up and nothing's ever going to level up or whatever.
I like, you know, it's one of those things that they're remaking one of the classic Harvest Moon games, Story of Season games, that has that generational thing too, where you give birth to kids and you can see them grow old, and your character will grow old too, like get like gray hair and everything. You're like, well, that's different, right? Like, and it's wild that it was one of those things where it's like, wow, they did that back in the PS2 era and no one's really done that since. And so it's cool to see, you know, another dev take that concept and run with it a little bit.
Yeah.
That is one of those things that's, the children, like having children in a farming sim always feels like a little lackluster, right? Like you just have the kid and then that's it, and they just kind of walk around and
The classic Stardew, hug your kid once a day.
yeah.
And then head out the door.
like to level that up to a whole, you know, wing of the game is intriguing. Yeah. All right. Final games. Who goes first? You?
Me.
You.
We're going to Lake.
We're going to like. Do you want to do your shout outs first?
Sure.
Okay.
Um,
It's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna
do you
keep
want me
up.
to tell you where Lake is first?
Okay. Yeah.
It was in the Cozy, next to the Corgi game, Pizza Possum, Nountown, Ollie Frog, that block before Ollie Frog
Oh.
by a few games. So some other games I wanted to shout out were several of them were in this block. Pizza Possum, that 2-player co-op where you steal and eat everything, just looks cute as hell, looks fun.
It's on my list too.
Yeah.
Co-op chaos game is all, you know.
Yeah. Nountown, actually, like I'm always intrigued by language learning games, and I, you know, keep meaning to play some of them or to do Duolingo or things like that. But like that like has actually captured my attention. Like I might actually go and learn something. That would be great.
Imagine learning.
Imagine. And actually that Outbreak Island kind of looked interesting to me.
Okay.
I'm just really curious about the whole like day night, you know, sort of different cycle. The monsties come out at night, and it reminds me a little bit of like Fallout, and like for a good stretch there, you and me had a good time like playing Fallout together. And yeah, Critter Crops, we've seen that before and talked about it before, but it looks really cool. Yeah, that's some of them.
Here's this. You're already doing some shout outs. Nivalis is another one that I'm glad to see is getting like even more just like polish and like it's meant to be this like down on the ground level of some megacorp city, you know, where you're just like living in the slums, but you make the most of it. You go and fishing, you put up your garden. Like they seem they're invested in like really making every piece of that world feel alive. With the showcase here was like the mocap stuff they were doing. And appreciate that. And that's just a game that's been on my list for a little bit, so definitely interested in that. Alrighty, are you ready for your
Sorry.
game of the show? Probably.
Ready.
Just immediately out the gate. We go, wait a second.
We need to highlight that because that was like the most hype moment.
That's not fair, bro.
Genuinely.
See, that is, it's so funny, right? Because it's funny, right? But that's the, you know, when me and Oscar see Snake hiding in the jungle and we go, oh fuck, it's you know, Julie's version of that
Providence.
is seeing the town a fictional Oregonian Oregon town name.
My homeland. Yeah, this was just like so wildly unexpected. Again, like we streamed Lake and like it was so hype for me leading up to it. It looked so good. There were a couple of disappointments for me in like the story. So overall, like it wasn't even like the best game. Like it wasn't a 10 or anything for me, but I just have such fond memories of like playing it, and I listened to the soundtrack of it so much. Like I love that soundtrack, and just like the actual atmosphere of the game and just driving the little truck around.
Yeah, just the quick summary for those that don't know. Lake is a game where you're in a small cozy like lake town in Oregon, and you are from the big city. It's kind of got that Harvest Moon Stardew setup. You're in the big city. You're taking over not permanently, temporarily for your dad who did this as a job.
He's just like on vacation.
Yeah, and he's the mailman for this town, and you grew up here too, I think, and it's just this cozy, like once every day you go out and you do your route, you meet the people of the town, you hang out with them a bit, and
you have like some rapport with people, you know, they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in like 10 years since before you went to college, and like so sort of building those relationships back
you
up
can
again.
you there's a little romance.
Yeah,
There's 2 romance options.
You can gay romance.
Yeah. And it's got this really, it was like, it reminded me almost in a way of some of those like 90s rom-coms where it's just kind of like not much happens. It's just kind of like people talking and hanging out, but like it feels nostalgic in this weird way, you know.
It just has such a great atmosphere. But yeah, so like now
Coming back,
and then you
Here it
get
comes.
this reveal.
you're like, oh, she's
Male
back.
Carrier Weiss. But it's her dad. And so yeah, we found out that it's a prequel. So about like 9 or 10 months
Yeah.
before she's coming to take over for him. And just a nice little like holiday version of Lake. You know, it's
Oh, this is-
gonna
yeah.
look different because it's gonna have like the snow and everything. Maybe there'll even be some like, you know, story interaction between Meredith and her dad. Get
Yeah,
to
it
like
seems
build
like, yeah,
out
it's a couple
that
days
little
away
more.
from her coming to visit for the
Yeah.
holidays. Here, fingers crossed, right?
Co-op?
Well, not hey, Lake
Hey.
2 plays the dad and Meredith together. Fingers crossed. Holiday season.
Uh-huh.
Could that bleed right into this year's camp out? And we got a full playthrough right there
Let's go.
of Lake Season's Greetings.
That would
Because
be great.
that's the other thing, right? Like, there are so many games that are like, there's so many movies that are perfect for certain seasons. Games, not as much, right? The newest Spider-Man Miles Morales is a great holiday game. It's like Christmas themed and, you know, has that. But like, and there are games that definitely evoke certain seasons, or even just are that feel good to play during those seasons because of whatever, you know, nostalgic vibe you have.
Mhm.
But to have like a purely like Christmas push here out of Lake is really cool. And yeah, I could totally see this being something that really gets you in the season's greetings mode.
I'm gonna be
I-
holly jolly as well.
I expect every year from now on, Julie's
Lake playthrough.
Spotify during Christmas time is gonna be this soundtrack.
I can't wait for new Lake songs to come out.
Because that's the other thing that's surprising. It was surprising to me, right? Like how many of the songs were made for Lake. How many of those songs were original for the game? They weren't just like an artist that had a song that they let be in the game. No, it was like made for the game. And I have to assume that this like cutesy little holly jolly song we got going here is made for this. So yeah, super. Yeah, just exciting in the ways that it's just so unexpected.
Yeah.
And as much as it's silly because it's Lake DLC, right? like this is exactly what I'm here for every time this year, right? There's always going to be that one thing that someone deeply loves that they just were not expecting to see that shows up and they freak the hell out, you know? And it's everyone has it across this time of year, and I'm probably gonna have it at some point, you know, like, oh my god, they're bringing that back, you know. It's just there's something special about these showcases. And again, it's so much better to have that moment, right? If you just saw a tweet that said Lake DLC coming out, like, oh, that's cool. But to see sitting here watching this and again, like you said, Providence Oaks, oh shit, oh Lake, you know, like it's so effective. It's what makes this time of year so great. You know?
It's the most wonderful time of the year, you know? It just really is.
Love you, Lake. Cannot wait for that.
I can't wait to get in my mail truck and go.
Oh my god, I just realized
What?
how many times we'll be delivering gifts.
Yeah.
And how
oh my
exciting
god, that
that'll
makes
be.
so much sense. I literally didn't even think of that.
There's
Yeah, it's Christmas.
probably you go and you with Meredith, you like go in the truck and you're dressed like it's Santa on Christmas
my
Day. Like
God,
there's some
that'd be
gifts that didn't get
amazing.
delivered. You have to go, and then it's you and Meredith.
Phenomenal. It's just so perfect.
It's
It just works so perfectly.
It's perfect.
How did they do that?
like one of the gamiest, right? Gamiest.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. All right, Fish. Final call.
With shout outs,
Do some shout outs.
Do some shout outs.
quick hits, Forgotlings, awesome art, Ghibli,
Yeah.
you know, great story, great world. Europa,
Yeah.
great, super cool. A tiny sticker's tail. Paper Mario with stickers.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. Remnant 2, every setting in media. It looked like the game was all over the place with settings, but it looked super fun. If you played Remnant 1. Iron Meat, the meat meme, where it all started. Looks like a fun little 2D co-op shooter. Toxic Crusader. You know, beat 'em up. 4 players, always fun. Anton Blast. Can't
Wait, okay, yeah, we need to
escape it.
I'll give a little extra shout out for that because yeah, that commercial, the trailer for it was like a little commercial,
Anton Blast is king.
and he's a little alcoholic years after his time as a hero, and it
Where
just
was Anton Blast?
here I found it. Yeah, it's so good.
It's time to paint the
Even the
town red.
voiceover, that's just pitch
It's
perfect.
amazing.
So well done. Just want an extra shout out for Anton Blast team. Great commercial
And
here.
whoever produced this, mwah.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Questmaster, the 4-player like community Zelda thing where you're building the dungeons and you can play that 4 players. Sticky Business, the Etsy simulator where you're making these stickers to sell on Etsy and building your profit and kind of building your own little business. I know Julie touched on this very briefly earlier. Is the kind of Disney-esque looking game by Sweet Carol from the creator of Remothered, which is a very very dark horror game. Now making this like kind of cutesy, kind of look like Hatman vibes. You know, there's a big baddie. But yeah, just wanted to shout those out just because I was super excited for all of those games and go check them out and stuff. But one of the games that really stood out to me, it mixes a bunch of my favorite genres, which RPG, the new trend of extraction shooters, and kind of that turn-based was Quasimorph. So Quasimorph mixes kind of like your Tarkov-esque gameplay and kind of character building with something like a very classic, board-based RPGs, so like your tabletops, your video games that also do that, like kind of Dwarf Fortress, Tales of Magial, those types of games, where it's really strategic and really have that dense fog of war where even though it's top down, you don't really see anything unless it's something that your character can actually see. So yeah, but it looks super interesting with the gameplay and kind of being able to get in, get what you need to get out of it, and then being able to manage to actually get out with what you got. So it looks to me, a mix of some of my favorite genres. I love these like little turn-based RPGs, these tabletop RPGs. I love Tarkov, which is a very famous extraction to this point, where it's kind of very hardcore, very almost mil-simmy. But this, takes that out of it and adds this like kind of grim, dark, monster and horror vibe to it, which is also one of my favorites. So as you see here, still kind of hardcore, have to tend to your wounds exactly where they are. Break your leg, gotta use a splint. You're bleeding, gotta use some bandages.
I just noticed that death there, it said blood poisoning.
Yeah.
So, like, very in-depth.
Yeah, which is something that's also coming to Tarkov. Stuff like that. So you can get addicted to medication, or like morphine and stuff like that, or you can be succumb to radiation poisoning and stuff like that. So yeah, like super hardcore, super Tarkov-esque, super RPG. So it's right up my alley. So that was kind of like my standout from the whole show, just because that's the one I kept thinking about after everything else. Like Q3 or play free prologue.
Yeah, so there's a free prologue to play right now.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm definitely down on that. But that's something for me that's gonna be really exciting to play.
Yeah, I'll this, and I've talked about it. My like leanings are kind of the jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing, where I'm I play a little bit of everything possible, but I'm overly intimidated by some games that feel like they're very skill based, and something like Tarkov feels very skill based, and so like this feels like more my speed, and I like the idea of the extraction shooter, right? You go in, you drop into a place, you're looking for particular resources, but if you die, you lose everything that's on you, and so that's a risk. And so it's like plotting out, okay, what do I bring with me into this, you know, into this drop? Like, what's important to me? What am I looking for? It's just such an interesting loop. And so, like, yeah, to have it now be this, okay, I can take it turn by turn. And also just imagining, like, those situations where you are pretty much fucked, you know, you're surrounded, but then you're, like, sitting there and you're just staring, you're like, okay, I have, like, one grenade. If I throw it right here, maybe I'm gonna fuck up my leg a little bit, but, you know, I might be able to get out of it. Like, those situations where in a game like Tarkov, Oscar could do that on the fly, right? Of, like, he's firing, and he's getting backed in the corner. He's like, oh shit, okay, I can throw the grenade. I can't do that. You know, my brain's just gonna go, shoot, you know? And so, like, to do that here in this setting, in this genre, in this, you know, change of the whole formula is a lot more appealing, and I'm definitely on board. I'm excited to see the evolution of the extraction genre, because what was that other that I was like, okay, hold on, I might hop in on this. It was from,
The cycle?
No, it was in the place. Yeah, I remember bringing up
Marathon.
Marathon, yeah, Marathon. Bungie's Marathon, right, is going to be an extraction shooter. And just the aesthetic alone feels more approachable. And also just knowing that it's like a sci-fi setting. It's Bungie who does tend to make more approachable kind of shooters. You know, I like seeing a genre unfold out to where it's like, you know, easier to get into for folks, where like Tarkov was like one of the first, and it was like this thing that felt like impenetrable if you weren't, you know, if you were on the outside looking in. But now with things like this and Marathon, it's becoming a whole new thing, and so that's really cool. Woo! What
Got
a
through it.
day.
Excellent recap, gamers.
Great.
We have superb taste.
We do. We truly do. I
Superior.
honestly now might just take that clip and then just write up based on our notes and what we said.
Exactly.
There's some others I probably want to highlight too, but yeah. Let's, before we do our wrap ups and our goodbyes, let's go over to videogamesgood.com.
I love that website.
There's a website?
What a treat. What a treat that we get to go there today.
And let's hop into the schedule. Full screen, there we go. Is this showing good? It's kind of small. I can zoom. There you go. The Not E3 Summer Gaming Mess, day 1 in the books. Really nice. In the books on stream. We got writing to do, editing, all kinds of. I got to break out all the video stuff here and work on that. But we're done here on the stream for the most part. So what's coming up? So we did Guerrilla Collective. Knocked it off. Tomorrow is gonna be a hell of a day.
Oh boy.
About the same amount of stream time, if not longer. Starting at 12 p.m. with Dorito, Gamer Pope, Jeff Keighley, free from gamer jail for a couple years now, and here with a fun showcase. He always knows how to put on a flashy show. Sometimes there's a little too many commercials, but you got to get these things paid for somehow. He always has a genuine shocker for somebody, you know, that comes completely out of nowhere. And so I'm excited to see what it is this year. He's going to have gameplay of Mortal Kombat 1, the kind of revival, continuation, reboot. I don't know. It's hard. It's complex. It's in canon somehow. Alan Wake will have some gameplay. Some game
Tarkov 2 reveal.
Huh?
The match.
That game Avernum, like Legends of Immortal or something that was from EA. It was like a kind of like a. it was kind of that Ghostwire ish thing is going to have another showcase there. So there's going to be some stuff we've already seen, but I promise you, there's going to be something in there that none of us would have ever saw coming. That's going to be so exciting.
Knack 3.
And then immediately after the Summer Game Fest, well, literally, I remember in past years we don't have a second to breathe. I feel like there's been times where I'm like, okay, let's start to wrap, and then it's like, all right, welcome to Day of the Devs, welcome, we're here, and I'm like, whoa! Day of the Devs coming from Double Fine and I Am 8-Bit, a great indie showcase where they just really get some truly inventive games. It's where I saw Supot for the first time. It's where I saw all kinds of stuff, and it's where I'm going to see the next game from the Chicory development team. VGG's inaugural game of the year gets a follow-up, baby. I don't even care what it is. I am ready. I know all we know. There was like that one little gif or like image they showed of one of the characters. It's like this cute little bunny guy that kind of has like big legs and he'd do little jumps. That's all we know about that game. So
Just a little bunny guy.
bunny guy doing jumps. I'm gonna see Tim Schafer. I always love seeing that guy. Super great time. And then at 3 p.m. Gamers, we've all been waiting for it our whole lives. Volvi is back.
I know, it's been so long.
Oh, Volvi. It's been years, you know?
Wow.
You think about your memories of Volvi. You think about, when I remember when I first played Hotline Miami and I talked to Volvi for the first time. That was such a highlight for me. It was just such a dream. And so Devolver, they always pull it off, and they brought him back and
Let out of gamer jail.
let out of gamer jail. He's got a big hand. It's going to be super fun. And all jokes aside, Devolver continues to publish some of the most fascinating games.
After hit, brother.
Truly. And they've already had some placements in some events, like at the PlayStation Showcase. They had Plucky Squire and some other stuff. So I don't know if we'll see more of that or if we'll see, some brand new stuff. But just going to be a truly stacked day, end to end here between Summer Game Fest, Day of the Devs, and Devolver Direct. There's a chance, there's a reality in which, at the end of the day, the Summer Game Fest is the least hype thing that happens tomorrow.
It's true.
There's a chance.
Could happen.
Knowing Keeley, he's gonna find a way to keep himself in the top slot. But there's a chance. And then of course we have the rest of the week. We won't go into the full week, but we got lots of stuff going on. Heads up on this, if you have looked at this before, June 9th, that's Friday. We are not going to be live streaming while these events go on. You'll catch us after the fact later that night. We will be going back over and watching these shows with y'all and doing our recap and stuff way later in the day. Gives some folks like Rinks, who is just woken up after you must have only slept like 4 hours. Literally, what are you doing? Go to sleep.
Just a little nap.
Go back to sleep. But yeah, the night crew will get some of us because the rest of the week, all early mornings, including Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is gonna be fun. Starting at 8 a.m. Gamers, are you ready for that? And then Sunday starting at 10 a.m. And so is that's gonna be the most weird day because we're gonna have like stream break. But yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a week. Couldn't have asked for a better way to start it all off. Yeah, just any final words from you two?
Video games are good.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Got you. Yeah. Thanks.
Everyone here, stay tuned for my cosplay tomorrow.
Yes.
Bro, I can't wait. What the heck is going on?
Fish was gonna do it today, and I was like, save it for
you know
tomorrow.
what it is?
Like vaguely. I think I know. He said some things, and I put pieces together. It's funny. It's a thing we talked about when I once was thinking about something. Yeah, we talked about it.
It's just everyone just hang on to your little booties for tomorrow.
So yeah, we'll see you guys here tomorrow, bright and early, 12 p.m. Again.
Right in the early 12 p.m.
Well, I'm gonna keep an eye out. The thing that I think is apparently happening is supposed to happen tomorrow, and it would presumably happen before Summer Game Fest. I don't think we're gonna spring a sudden stream on you, but we might go live a little like early 11:30. I mean, we did that today, but like to try to catch you up on what happened during it. But like I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have like there's supposed to have been an event tomorrow.
This event that is allegedly, supposedly, possibly going to happen, maybe.
Nate's spidey senses.
We'll maybe stream, but some part of. But I hope to see you guys here tomorrow. Tomorrow is if today was just kind of a fun thing to tune in on and see some games. Like tomorrow is the genuine beginning of the get hype moments, like true, like built
Can't
to be
miss
get
it.
hype moments. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what's coming. Appreciate everybody. Let's actually go through our lists of stuff we had, because we had quite a few subs and follows and all kinds of stuff that we want to shout out here today. So we say thank you to Matt Punchliner for the sub and the gifted sub and the follow, the trifecta.
Incredible.
I genuinely do not feel bad that you were not sub or followed before that. Do not feel bad. And then of course the other half of Ultramelon was here and gifting out subs and subbing. Then the Shazame for the 28-month sub. Thank you so much. Rinks with the 28-month sub. Thank you so much. Evan with the 7-month sub. We're vibing. We're thriving. Again, the support during this week is going to be huge. So please watch. If you got friends that are going to be watching these events anyways, maybe say, come hang out with these goofballs. One of them's going to be in cosplay, man. Like, come on out. maybe I'll pop on the Spider-Man jacket. Who knows?
Listen, between just Nate and I, there's like almost 50 years of gaming knowledge and shit in here. So get some hot takes, get some stuff. So it's a good time.
And again, we will be having written recaps and all kinds of stuff on the website for everyone to keep track of. So always keep an eye on the site. Keep an eye here. Keep an eye. The best place is always to just check out our socials to keep an eye on everything that we got going on. Twitter.com/vgamesgood and Twitter.com/Natoid.
Let's see. Do we have this?
I think I do. You can at least follow me for sure.
There you go.
Where you can get your updates. I always obviously retweet everything we do.
Another good one is Discord.
Yes, yeah. If you're not in our Discord, hang out there. We're always talking about it. We have events for every single stream that Julie put up. That was really nice because it helps you kind of keep aware as to when things are going on.
Yeah, if you want to get notified because you forget things like me. I want to see everybody here today in the Discord giving your predictions of what Fish's cosplay is going to be tomorrow.
I want you here before we close out. As I see if there's anyone for us to raid, do you have a guess?
It's Pride Month. I'm going to say Gay Bowser.
Gay Bowser.
Gay Bowser. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Like the meme.
Okay, I like it.
You know the meme.
So long, Gay Bowser.
So long, Gay Bowser.